Bring in Peter King, NBCSports.com. Football morning in America, must read for every football fan. Oh, you thought you were going to yell at me, didn't you, Peter?
I thought we were going to brawl this morning, Dan.
But you do understand, I don't know if John Facenda was ever considered for the Pete Rozelle Award. I know there was a lawsuit that was going on between Facenda's family and maybe NFL Films or the NFL, but I was just thinking contributions to the game. Has Facenda's name ever come up with those voting?
Dan, the Pete Rozelle Award is not something that the selectors for the Pro Football Hall of Fame have anything to do with.
Mm-hmm.
We don't vote on it. I suppose if I felt strongly about somebody, I could write a letter, but so could a coach or anybody could write a letter, but we don't pick those. And so I think those are picked by the Hall of Fame, like by David Baker
okay.
But I'm not positive. I don't know how it gets picked, but really every year they mostly try to pick somebody either for sort of a lifetime achievement award, like they picked Dick Ebersol a couple of years ago, or for like somebody who's doing something really good currently. They picked Andrea Kramer for her long career, and also for the fact that she and Hannah Storm became the first, all-woman team to do games. And so, but again, I don't know exactly how it happens, but I think John Facenda is a great candidate for that award because his voice is the most recognizable voice in the history of the NFL, honestly.
Yeah, that's why I thought, I kept railing for years. And look, I know it's a thankless job voting for the Hall of Fame because, no matter what you do, somebody's going to be upset with you. But the Sables, I wanted to make sure they got in with their contributions to the sport. The Titans-Steelers game is rescheduled for later on this season. 2 more positive tests in Tennessee. Why do you think the NFL pulled the cord on this one this early?
Well, it's not that early. It's Thursday. And I think they knew that. I think what they really wanted to do was play the game late Monday afternoon because this is probably not the only game that's going to have to get adjusted this year. It's just, I thought it was a miracle that each of the first 2 weeks, the 2,460 tests for players, none of them ever came up positive. And then there was one in week 3, the Atlanta corner AJ Terrell. And then week 4, obviously, the Titans have broken out. But I believe, I talked to Dr. Alan Sills, the NFL's chief medical officer, Tuesday night late. And I believed that if there were either none or maybe one more positive test, that they were going to play the game this weekend. But the fact is, there's no guarantee that in the next couple of days there won't be even a couple of more players test positive because of the incubation period. So I think it's a prudent decision now, especially after the extra test came, or the additional player tested positive today. And so I think it's a smart move. The NFL can't be putting players out, not that they couldn't have played a game with the existing roster of the Tennessee Titans, but it just isn't prudent to risk having guys out there who could be incubating and could have COVID.
I was wondering on the heels of this with what happened with the Raiders, where they went to a charity function and, you have your starting tight end, your starting quarterback there, and they don't have masks on, at least for a portion of this fundraiser there. You've already had the franchise fined $250,000. John Gruden fined $100,000. The NFL going to come down on the Raiders?
They should. The NFL should come down on the Raiders. That was an incredibly tone-deaf thing that the Raiders did. And, look, without getting too political, the problem in our country right now, Dan, is that everybody is getting mixed messages about the efficacy of wearing masks. And unfortunately, it's absolutely without any question that wearing a mask will help prevent the spread of COVID-19. And to be out in public when all through the course of your training camp and the first 3 weeks of the season, it's mask, 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 mask. And then you go out in public where theoretically everybody isn't wearing masks like they are inside a football facility, and the players are not wearing masks. I was shocked to see that, really. And I don't know who should get penalized, whether it's the players or whether it's the franchise, but the NFL's got to do something about that.
And then I wonder, once we heard about the Titans and the Vikings, and then if the Titans were going to be able to play, can you punish an organization if they have positives? I don't know how you dole out blame in a situation like this, Pete. Do you take away a draft pick? Is it just going to be fining an organization like with the Raiders? Does the NFL have any kind of blueprint of how they're disciplining or will discipline teams?
Well, I mean, I think it's a pretty sticky situation if a team tests positive and you have to postpone a game. It strikes me as a little bit draconian to then take a draft choice away from a team because a coach or a player or players or coaches get COVID.
I know.
I don't really think that's the way to go. I just don't. But if you're out in public, I definitely think it's the way to go. And if you could find out that any of the Titans, if you could prove or whatever that they're out at some nightclub or even an indoor restaurant or whatever without a mask on, that's when you have to penalize them. But without knowing where this came from or how it came, I would not think that the NFL should penalize a team.
He's Peter King, NBC Sports, his column Football Morning in America. If you ran the Jets, what would you do?
I'd probably give Adam Gase maybe 3 more weeks. But if the games are not very competitive, and if the quarterback continues to be as inconsistent as he is, even though, look, the quarterback doesn't have a lot of help right now, and he's had a lot of injuries at receiver and running back. But I would not hesitate midway through the season to pull the plug and go to Greg Williams. I mean, he was 5-3 as an interim coach. Sort of damning with faint praise, but man, that Greg Williams is one heck of an interim coach. I mean, so but it's, you don't want to be unfair to Adam Gase, especially in a season that is a lost cause. But I'd find it pretty hard to believe that Adam Gase can save himself. And look, your players don't want to go out and feel like hopeless, helpless every week. And I think they have had a couple of really bad performances the last couple of weeks.
Can a team hire an assistant from another team during the season to be the head coach? If the Jets fired Adam Gase and they said to Eric Bieniemy, we want to hire you.
That's a really good question. I never thought of that. I probably should have thought of that. But I don't think they can, Dan. I don't think the NFL would allow it. Particularly because, and look, you mentioned Bieniemy, obviously he's a black man, but you think in most cases that you want to have a fair and open process to hire a coach. I don't think the NFL would allow it, but I should know that, and I don't.
Yeah, it just dawned on me. I'm thinking, if I could get Eric Bieniemy, and I thought he was going to be a head coach, and I'm the Jets, then why wouldn't I go out and do that? I take him away from Kansas City, and then I have my replacement. I don't have to wait for him to be on the open market. So I was just wondering if you were even allowed to do that.
Yeah,
so.
I kind of don't think you are. I mean, I'm trying to think of other sports, and, I can't imagine in the middle of a season that the Tampa Bay Rays can hire the Chicago White Sox third base coach?
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think they can, but it's a good question for me to ask.
Get some of your best people on that, Pete, okay?
Yeah.
And then let's get Facenda at least in the conversation here. Can we do that?
Dan, you know what? Quite honestly, I'm telling you, what you should do is you should have David Baker on your show, and you should ask him the question that you asked me. What are the rules about this, and how, if my listeners want to campaign for this, can we do it?
Yeah,
I think you ought to do it, because that's the kind of stuff the Pro Football Hall of Fame loves. Interest in the hall and interest in the game. So they'd listen to you.
All right. Great to talk to you, Pete.
Thanks, Dan. Good talking to you, too.
That's Peter King, who did not yell at me today. Todd, NBCSports.com, Football Night in America, and, of course, Football Morning in America as well.